It is this time of the year, painstakingly. Being at home quarantined, nothing to do all day during this coronavirus outbreak. And I just found out something from the Wikipedia a couple seconds ago. And this is just painstakingly something that I may want to read. Here it says about social distancing. And not to be confused with social distance or social isolation. Well, it says here that in public health, social distancing, also called physical distancing, is a set of non-interventions or measures intended to prevent the spread of a contagious disease by maintaining a physical distance between people and reducing the number of times people come into close contact with each other. It typically involves keeping a certain distance from others. While the distance specified may differ from time to time and country to country, and avoid gathering together in large groups by minimizing the probability that a given uninfected person will come into physical contact with an infected person. The distance transmission can be suppressed, resulting in fewer deaths, and the measures may be used in combination with others, such as good respiratory, commonly known as respiratory hygiene, and face masks, and like hand washing. I got this here hand sanitizer, and it kills 99.9% of germs and bacteria, and I would always recommend one of these because it kills germs, so you may need it. And during the COVID-19 pandemic, the World Health Organization, who suggested favoring the term of physical distancing as opposed to social distancing, as it is a physical separation which prevents transmission. People can remain socially connected via technology to slow. Several social distancing measures are used, including the closings of schools, workplaces, isolation and quarantine, and restricting the movement of people and the cancellation of mass gatherings. What it also says here is, although the term was introduced only in the 21st century, I always gotta remember about the social distance. Social distancing measures date back to at least the 5th century BC. And social distancing measures are most effective when the infectious disease spreads via one or more of the following methods. So here's a little bit of something about quarantine as also. Looks like there's more to read about the COVID-19 pandemic. During the COVID-19 pandemic, social distancing and related measures are emphasized by several governments as alternatives to enforced quarantine of heavily affected areas. According to UNESCO monitoring, more than 100 countries have implemented nationwide school closures in response to COVID-19, impacting over half of the world's student population. In the United Kingdom, of course, the government advised the public to avoid public spaces, and cinemas and theaters voluntarily closed to encourage the government's message, with many people disbelieving that COVID-19 is any worse than the seasonal flu. And it has been difficult to convince the public, especially teens and young adults, to voluntarily adopt social distancing practices. And like Belgium, media reported a rave was attended by at least 300 before it was broken up by local authorities in France, teens making non-essential break. Weddings were broken up in New Jersey at 8 p.m. Curfew was imposed in New York. New Jersey and Connecticut and Pennsylvania were the first states to adopt coordinated social distancing policies, which closed down non-essential businesses and restricted large gatherings. Shelter-in-place orders in California were extended to the entire state on the 19th March. On the same day, Texas declared a public disaster and imposed statewide restrictions. And of course, these preventative measures, such as social distancing and self-isolation, prompted the widespread closure of primary, secondary, and post-secondary schools in more than 120 countries. And as of 23 March 2020, more than 1.2 billion learners were out of school due to the school closures of the COVID-19 pandemic, which I was already at home. Like, I was specifically painstakingly quarantined also during the COVID-19 pandemic, and I did not realize that was going to happen. So it was given low rates of COVID-19 symptoms, among with temporary, it carries high social and economic costs. However, though, the significance of children in spreading COVID-19 is unclear, and with the full impact of school closures during the coronavirus pandemic are not yet known. Just so strange, right? Well, UNESCO advises that school closures have negative impacts on local economies and learning outcomes for students. And of course, in early March 2020, the sentiment, I don't want to say the word WCK, so it's just kind of too offensive. So maybe I'd painstakingly say, stay the F home, was coined by Florian Reifschneider, a German engineer, was quickly echoed by notable celebrities such as Taylor Swift and Ariana Grande and Busy Phillips. I never noticed that. In hopes of reducing and delaying the peak of an outbreak, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram joined the campaign with similar hashtags, stickers, and filters, and under the stay home, or whatever that means, began trading across social media. Like, the website have claimed to reach to about 2 million people online, and it says the text have been translated to 17 languages. And of course, these are concerns that social distancing can have adverse effects on participants and mental health. It may lead to stress, anxiety, and depression or panic, especially for individuals with pre-existing conditions such as anxiety disorders, obsessive-compulsive disorders, and paranoia. Widespread media coverage about a pandemic, its impact on the economy, and resulting hardships may create anxiety. And a change in daily circumstances and uncertainty about the future may add on to the mental stress of being away from other people. People with autism, sometimes painstakingly, some people suffer from the impact of social distancing, and adjust to a new routine can be stressful for everyone on the spectrum. But especially for children who have trouble with change, children with autism may not know this yet. So, yes. That's what I want you guys to understand. The social distance, why is it going on? So that's all I gotta say. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. And if you have done so already, comment down below and see if you did understand. If you guys out there who are watching understand what social distancing means. More videos are coming up eventually. So see you guys in the next video. Adios.